Okay, good evening, everybody. We are opening the public hearing, or the planning board meeting on May 3rd, 2017. First item on the agenda is a public hearing for Wilson's Way. Yeah.
Planning Board, legal notice, Dayton, Massachusetts, in accordance with Chapter 41, Section 81T of the Massachusetts General Laws, a public hearing will be held at the Dayton Town Hall, 979 Somerset Avenue, Dayton, Massachusetts, on Wednesday, May 3rd, 2017, at 6 p.m. in the Planning Board room, on a petition for approval of a subdivision of land entitled Wilson's Way off of Sharps Lot Road, map 21, lot 26-1 in Dayton, Massachusetts. The proposed is a five buildable lot and 2 drainage parcels located in a residential agricultural district. Copies of the plans are available for inspection in the Planning Board office, 979 Somerset Avenue, Dayton, Massachusetts, during normal business hours.
Do you want me to set up here, or would I be better over there? What do you
I think
prefer?
you're good there.
Good here?
They can see it all stuff.
I'm gonna borrow your desk out here, right?
That's perfectly good.
Okay.
You seen this small shop?
I'll just get a little closer to you and then we'll.
can swing it around
Get
this
a
way a
plan
little
of
bit.
it down here if you want.
There we go.
Alright,
How's
now I
that?
can see it.
Hey, good evening. My name is Jeff Tolman from SciTech Engineering, representing Cliff Wilson, the applicant for the subject subdivision, proposed subdivision. I believe, I'm sorry, the name had changed. It's Shops LRZ LLC. Cliff Wilson was the previous owner of the property. He's still the applicant for this property, so I'm still representing him on the case. The plan that's before you tonight is a result of a preliminary plan that was submitted and approved by the planning board. I forget exactly when that was done. I know it was well over a year ago. And the lots that were shown on the subdivision basically are the same as what we had shown on the preliminary. The subdivision itself is located on Shops Lot Road, about 1,000 feet south of the intersection with William Street. The 5 lots that we're proposing would be accessed, well, 4 of the 5 lots that we're proposing would be accessed off of a new 600-foot road to be constructed, basically in the area where the existing driveway is on the site. The roadway would provide access for the existing dwelling that's out there and 3 additional dwellings. And there'd be a 4th dwelling, a 4th new dwelling proposed that would be accessed directly off of Shops Lot Road. In order to mitigate peak rate mitigation for stormwater, we are proposing a couple of different stormwater management type facilities. The main one being a constructed stormwater wetland to be located adjacent to the cul-de-sac, in between the cul-de-sac and the wetland at the end of the road. The other means of drainage, well, stormwater mitigation that we're proposing is a swale system to be located out in the front. We have a winding swale that comes down through the drainage easement in this location, and then it's piped across down into a swale in this location, directs the runoff to where it's currently going. What we had to do to help address the stormwater that comes towards Shops Lot Road is we've kind of relocated the high point in the existing driveway, brought it out towards Shops Lot a little further to reduce the amount of runoff that comes out in that direction. We're trying to direct more stormwater to go in the back towards the constructed stormwater wetland. As you can see, there is a bordering vegetated wetland located on the property with an old fond palm on the inside that has an outlet that flows to the south. The wetland line that we're showing on the plan has been reviewed and approved by the Dayton Conservation Commission. So that's an approved wetland line. Each of the houses in the subdivision will be serviced by on-site subsurface sewage disposal systems and private wells. There is no sewer or water available out in this area at night. That's basically it for the overall development. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board might have on the project.
Why is the, your berm kind of serpentine? Is that just to slow the water down?
The swale, yeah, it's to
swale.
get extra length in the swale,
Uh-huh.
to give it a little bit more of a time of concentration as the water flows in this direction.
And most of that water in that swale is coming from the road, or is it coming from parcel, or is it coming from
The
the
wa-
neighbor?
The water in this swale would be basically whatever falls within the northern portion of the road up to around Station 350. That'll all be directed down in here. There isn't much runoff that's coming from off of the roadway. You know, it may be a little bit of area in here that drains in that direction,
Uh-huh.
but that's basically it. So I mean, we're not talking about a large amount of water that's being directed down in this
Okay, does
location.
it go from where, from the swale?
It goes, and then it's piped under the roadway through a
Okay.
culvert and then out into the swale here.
Oh, to Sharp's lot?
Yeah, out to a new swale that would be creating along Shop Slot Road.
Does the house on Sharp's lot, does that need a culvert on? for
Yeah,
the
there will be a
swale?
pipe under the driveway, that would be required
Mhm.
when it is constructed.
Is that allowed to have water running off from a subdivision onto Sharp's of the road? Doesn't it
No.
have to go somewhere else? Or is it?
The water that's running out there is the same water that's,
Yeah.
that's running there now. We've designed it so that it maintains the same rate of runoff that's leaving the property. So, I mean, it's not a direct discharge from our roadway directly onto it.
Right.
But there is, further down on Shop Slot, there is a culvert that goes underneath across to, on the west side of Shop Slot Road to a large wetland system. That's where all this water
And
drains
is
to.
that pipe adequate to handle more, or?
Well, it's not gonna be more. That's what we've done our design, to make sure that there won't be, more water going down in that direction. We're maintaining the existing level of runoff.
Peter, do you concur with that, or have you looked at that?
No, I've reviewed the calculation, it does show that they're not increasing the flows down in that direction, or, you know, they looked at the hydraulic analysis and looked at all the different directions that, you know, water flows off the site. And
Yeah,
they reduce the runoff, you know, in all the directions.
we have identified, when you look at the overall grading, the existing grading, there are 3 design points, one of them being in this location here, the other one being the outlet of this, in the wetland of the farm pond here, then the other one would be a low point along this property line here. So you get some water that sheds this way, a lot of it goes this way, and then you have some, because this is a pretty steep slope out in the front. Some of that sheds right out to Shop Slot Road, and then down this way.
Lot 5, Jeff,
Yeah.
doesn't look like it's conforming. Looks like it's like a pork chop lot.
Yeah, that was something that I had talked to Jim Aguirre about when we did the preliminary,
Okay.
to get an opinion on that. And he agreed that it is a conforming lot. His concern obviously is if you show that 100 by 100 foot box on the property, then it would be buildable. It is kind of an irregular shape, I agree. But as long as you can provide that box.
I think that was the bylaws. Says verbatim.
That was a concern of ours when we designed the lots back at the preliminary stage.
One of them are technical,
So that's why we,
way this far,
We asked Jim Aguirre for an opinion on that.
this side will have-
Okay, about halfway down in the
Doesn't move like that at all.
In the bylaw, it states, no pork chop, rat tail, or excessively funnel-shaped or otherwise unusually gerrymandered lots shall be allowed if their shape is caused solely by the attempt to meet lot size or frontage requirements. of these bylaws while evading the bylaws' intent to regulate building site density. Such a lot being, for example, a pork chop or rat tail lot which does not contain a squared building area which is at least 100 by 100.
That's correct.
And you said it meets that? That
Yes.
meets the 100 by 100?
Yeah, 100 by 100 foot box could easily fit in this location here.
What is the frontage of lot 5?
250
is.
according to this plan.
Yeah, it's the minimum required, 250.
250.
Yep. It's 8161 and 16839.
So indefinite, as defined in the definition of which, non-conforming, that lot has an irregular shape just to meet the requirements for
Right,
frontage.
I was just
Right.
gonna say that.
Well, provided it can fit a 100 by 100 foot box, is the way that I read it and the way that Jim reads it, then it would be a conforming lot. There was a question on that lot, and, to be totally honest with you, there was a question on, well, the lot has been changed, but there was another lot that we had on the preliminary, at this corner here, that had frontage, well, actually, no, it might still apply to this lot, but the question would be how much frontage would you take on the radius here? And Jim's opinion on that also was half of that, half of the frontage on that curve would be considered shop lot, and the other half would be the new subdivision road, which gets us to where we need to be with frontage on that lot as well. So, I mean, there were two issues that we had asked Jim for an opinion on at the preliminary stage.
Bob, could I see the language of that?
Yeah, see, I'm reading it differently, Jeff. I'm reading it as it's being used to get frontage. That's how I'm reading that. I mean,
Lot frontage.
I think that was the whole purpose of us creating that bylaw, was so situations like this didn't occur.
Then what is the purpose of the 100 by 100 foot box?
I think that was an upper limit on irregularity.
Yeah.
You couldn't even get the 100 by 100, you were definitely out of the
Right,
contention for
right,
a buildable lot.
right. So then when you could, then it becomes an
You
opinion,
passed the first test.
right?
Then there's the,
Which again, I mean, is why we had brought this up at the preliminary point, at the preliminary stage with Jim Agia, the zoning, I believe he's a zoning enforcement officer.
He is, but
He is, but he's
this
not
is,
on the planning board.
this is the planning board, this is a subdivision. I guess it's how they feel.
That's how I feel. I don't know.
Well, how the
For
board,
the members
right.
feel.
Perhaps the answer is to have our planning board council give us some guidance, because it seems like it can be read either way. And even one attorney might read it differently than another attorney.
Right,
But I'd like to have
exactly.
our attorney be the one to tell us or give us an opinion rather than to rely on what we think.
In
and-
the past, we have, gone that, it being used to solely gain frontage or area, it meets that description. But just to be on the safe side, I don't believe we ever got an attorney's opinion, but we might have in the past, so I'll look through our files
Yeah, yeah.
before I do, so we don't ask the same question twice
Right.
and spend the money twice.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta read 10 times.
And then,
I know.
Yeah, it's, I don't think it's intentionally vague, but it's not crystal clear either.
Yeah.
It's always been my understanding in a case like that, I mean, while the subdivision is under planning board control, it's more for the association of the roadway and drainage system and stuff like that. The lots themselves fall under the zoning bylaw, which is the jurisdiction of zoning enforcement officer. But certainly if you want to get an opinion from planning board council, I wouldn't be opposed to that, obviously. But I thought this was an issue that we had addressed at the preliminary stage. And again, lot 5 is not changed on either plan.
I think my opinion on that is that it was talked to one by the wrong.
Yeah, these bylaws are written by us. Not the building commissioner.
The subdivision bylaws or the zoning bylaws?
Well, the subdivision bylaws.
But that, we're talking about a zoning issue, not a subdivision issue.
I think the board made the recommendation for that, some of that language.
Yeah, and I'm sure the board has input on zoning, I'm not disputing that, but.
Right. Let's change the law.
Any other questions from the board?
My opinion, it's not it's a pork chop lot. I don't think it's a legal lot myself, the way I read it.
I'm sorry, say that again, sir?
No, I agree with you.
Okay.
I don't think it's conforms to the way I read that.
How much frontage does lot 4 have?
They all
They
have,
all, they all have the minimum,
Lot 4, the big,
yeah, 250.
and that's from this part of the curve all the way around to there?
Correct, to this point here.
I see 20, I saw 293, but that was degrees. Never mind.
I have a couple questions I'd like to ask.
Sure.
Concerning some of my comments. I mean, many of them are technical or things that, additional information. But I guess, assume that there will be electric utilities provided to the lots and that will be underground,
Yes, correct.
okay? Where is the town line with respect to this property?
Town line is just into the layout here of Shop Slot Road. It's,
Now, does it matter that Swansea owns this over here? I don't know.
Well, there is a specific.
We're using frontage on Swansea.
I don't believe that's makes a difference from, mass subdivision law. But there is a section in the, rules and regulations that they have to meet, they have to provide information, how they're gonna meet, how this will conform to the requirement, to the, rules and regulations for a lot outside, basically outside of the town that you have to access through another town. And so that information will have to be submitted, and it comes to other issues with firefighting and that are, I think, important too.
yeah, that, well, I know like Hunter's Hill, there's no way to access Hunter's Hill without going into another town.
Yeah, but we're talking about this one.
No, I know, but I mean, there's, I know in a case like that, I mean, what do you do? I mean, there's existing houses on Shop Slot, that are in the same situation.
Hunter's
Wait.
Hill has access in Dayton.
The only way to get to it though, you have to leave, you have to either go, you have to go through Swansea to get there, either down Shop
Well, you gotta
Slot.
travel on their road, but none of their structures contain frontage in Swansea.
But to get to the development, you have to go through
Well, you
Swansea.
drive on any road like any road.
No, but those two there are similar situations, that if a fire truck had to go to Hunter's Hill, you'd have to go outside of the town.
Right, on Swansea's road.
Yeah, and so they're the owners right now to address that requirement of the subdivision
Okay.
rules and regulations. And that's one of the comments I have in my letter here. But the other thing is, and it's important, and I don't know if you've talked to the fire chief about this, and how how is fire protection gonna be provided within this subdivision?
Yeah, ideally, I think what we're gonna do is put in a holding tank, with the, whatever amount that he needs of water stored there, which is typically what's done in cases like this.
And where would the holding tank be?
It'd have to be somewhere obviously accessible to a fire engine. Ideally, it would probably be up in this location, over here somewhere, or on an easement over here.
So that's something important that's gonna have
Yeah.
to be worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's-
We'll want feedback from the fire department to
Oh,
make sure
absolutely.
that everything has been properly coordinated.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. I know like in Rehoboth, there's a lot of area where they don't have, town water, so I know on different projects there, I've provided those, and that's basically how they handle it. I know this is probably a little unusual in Dayton.
Because of the frontage being part of it in Swansea, don't you have to go to Swansea as well to get a building permit?
No, the lot itself is in Dayton. The building
But the
permit would be
frontage-
issued,
Part of the frontage is in Swansea.
well,
So-
the roadway is in Swansea. The lot itself is in Dayton, so,
But the access road is in Swansea, wouldn't you have to apply to Swansea for?
for a building permit?
Well, not only for a building permit, for frontage, I mean, it's, I don't,
No, I guess that's the question, not quite clear. Where is the boundary line? Is it within the Shops Lot Road layout?
Based on plans of record that I've seen in this area, yes, it is. It's within the layout, correct,
So the road is split,
yes.
and it's, and the Dayton, and the, where these lots are on the Dayton side of it.
but the road is in Swansea.
I think we
Half-
need,
Okay,
9/10 of the road is in
I
Swansea.
think we
so-
need to see the road layout.
okay, so
and what
Sharps
the
Lot
line
Road,
is.
where your frontage is on lot one, is in Dayton.
Yes.
That side of it.
That's
It's
Dayton.
either right on the right-of-way line or just into the right-of-way, depending on which plans you look at. There's a town, the town line here is one straight line. I wanna say it's about 2 miles or so in length, the bound on either end. I mean, we haven't located those as of yet.
So it also appears that some of the work is gonna be done within the, proposed work is gonna be, grading will be done within the town of Swansea.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, obviously to come in with the roadway, we're gonna have to attach the
Some
pavement,
of the
which is.
grading of the swale down in front of lot
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
two.
I mean, the way,
That's our situation.
the way it is now, because the town, based on the plans I've seen, the town line is kinda like along the edge of the pavement, so we're not, the only thing we're proposing to do is attach, obviously, a driveway here and a roadway here. But if we need to pull this easement back and the swale back to keep it entirely in Dayton, I mean, we have the ability, to do that if
I
necessary.
think, to your best ability, the town line should be shown on the plan.
Sure. Sure.
It's before Anderson Drive.
If it's, no, it's, yes, right before.
Yeah, it's right before Anderson.
There's your locus right there.
Yeah.
So- We're gonna be pushing water into Swansea.
What currently
I was just
flows
thinking
to
that same
Swansea,
thing.
it currently
It
flows to
currently
Swansea.
flows to Swansea.
I mean,
Okay.
the town line doesn't obviate the law, you know, the age-old drainage law that you're entitled to make water flow the way it continues to flow. You can't increase it.
Okay.
I mean, we're not sure where the line is, but Tom Ferry once told me that the town of Swansea goes 10 feet in from the road. I don't know where he gets that from, but.
He might have been thinking the paved, he might have been talking about the paved surface which would pretty much, you know, put it on close to the property lines of the
Mm.
subdivision.
The right-of-way, the town line is straight, the right-of-way is variable width, so it kinda, it goes in and out, it's not a straight line from end to end. I know if you go north of William Street, I wanna say the town line does go into, like outside the right-of-way, but as you get closer down to Anderson,
Yep.
it comes out.
I would ask, Jeff, did you, I know this letter came out, late, but, do you have any questions on any of my comments or have any difficulties you feel in addressing them?
No, I had a chance to quickly go through them. I really didn't see anything in there, that would be a problem to address. This being probably the biggest issue we have is, okay, the town line and stuff like that, but, you know, I think that can be addressed as well. There were several comments that were in the letter that, we will be, would like to request waivers on. So what I did was I quickly prepared a waiver request letter, which I can submit at this point. And, you know, share it up, and I apologize.
So I
I got an extra
would
copy
think
here.
that, the board will need some time and maybe input from me in order to address
Yeah,
these waivers.
I mean, Well, if we can just quickly go over them, some of them might be pretty obvious, others might not, but certainly in terms of making revisions to the plan, I will need some input on the board, because it could affect things moving forward.
With that page.
Jeff, one quick thing before we get started on your
Yeah,
waiver requests.
Yeah.
Lot one,
yes,
your frontage,
yes.
how are you getting the additional 16.5 feet of frontage? I'm reading 233.54 here.
Yeah,
So it goes halfway around the corner.
What's that?
It goes halfway around
Half
the
the
corner.
and then half of this radius here, this was
Yeah.
another issue that was, that we spoke to Jim Aguirre
Oh,
about at the
okay.
preliminary stage. Half of that, of this radius goes towards shop slot, the other half is credited towards the subdivision road in terms of, you know, using that for frontage.
So
How is that determined though? I mean, how is,
that's a judgment call, that's because basically, you know, the rules and regulations, the zoning bylaw don't speak to that point,
okay,
but it's been the way that I've interpreted it in all the subdivisions that are reviewed for the board, is that if there's a corner, that half goes, and if there's a
Okay.
lot on a corner, half goes to one street, half goes to the other
that's
street.
reasonable.
But most of that radius is going to the lot off of,
So half
the line.
half the line goes to.
The whole radius is part of that lot, but we're only taking credit, well, I mean, we're showing it all as frontage, obviously, because it is, but if you look at, you know, what the legal determination is, because this radius has a length of 39 feet,
239.
no, 39.
39, yes,
Yeah,
correct.
39 feet, so we're at 18 of it goes
To there, okay.
to shop
All right.
slot, so if you add that to the 233.
I'm just looking at the lines, and where the lot line shows, it takes most of the radius for lot one.
The lot line.
For the
yeah.
lot on William Street, but yeah, there must be another line somewhere else.
There's an arrow that you can see up there that
All right,
shows
that's-
the
that's-
half and half.
My glasses don't reach
Yeah.
that far.
Yeah,
Well, he's
He gets
discounting.
one. Okay, thank you, sorry.
all right, just to, again, we can quickly go through this, and maybe you can give me some direction on these. All right, the first waiver we're looking for would be the, well, actually, there were two similar waivers on the detention basin, which is here. The regulations say we need a 1% channel from the inlet to the outlet throughout the whole basin. That's 4325, and then 4326 is that you need a 2% slope within the basin to that channel. What we're proposing is again, it's a constructed, or similar to a constructed stormwater wetland, that has a flat bottom. There is a sump, a 6-inch sump associated with it, so it is designed, to retain water. It, you know, like any wetland, it could dry up certain times of the year. Other times of the year, it could have, minimum 6 inches, or maximum 6 inches of water within it. So, the idea being to get the water to be retained or detained in there for as long as possible to let sediment settle out, and then the water be discharged to the wetland, at a slow rate. And I know one of the comments that Peter has is that we, show that it can drain down within 48 hours. We'll certainly provide, the calculations that show that, but, these two seem relatively simple. I would imagine that, when the regulations were written, there weren't so many types of stormwater, management facilities available that DEP now recommends, this being one of them.